Hey babes, welcome back to the girlies podcast. My name is Katie.
I'm Lexie.
And today we are going to be talking about Christian fiction. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and launch us straight in with our scripture of the episode, which is John 12, verse 47. And it says, "If anyone hears my words and does not keep them, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world." And I just really love this verse. We've been talking a lot in church about grace and this idea that like Jesus is proof of like the ultimate grace, like of anything. Like
Quite literally.
he is grace in and of himself. And the thing that is so encouraging to me about this verse is that he says specifically, like, if anyone hears my words, like, hears what I say, and they don't listen, I'm still not going to judge them. And I'm like, I that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to save you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just so cool because, like, we know that God the Father he is, like, just, and he is the judge. But what's so cool is that because we're covered by the blood of Christ, when he sees us, he sees Christ. And so knowing that, like, if we're Christ followers, like, Jesus isn't judging us, he is actually covering our sins with his love.
Yeah.
Like, that just encourages me to, like, want to live better. Because I'm like,
right. Because
you did all this for me. Like, I should, or like, I feel like I want to
like serve you
and like live better and make better decisions.
Yeah.
Not that I could ever be deserving of his grace, but just because like I love and want to serve him.
Yeah. I love that. I also like, just from what's been talked about at church, like just knowing that like grace is enough.
Yeah.
Period. Like,
that's good.
So good. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It is a really peaceful thing to know.
It's so calming because you can just like
we are going to mess up. We are going to sin. But like to know that it's okay and he's graceful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
In case you've never been here before, this is Go Reads This, where we chat about all things books. This is a different episode from anything we've ever really done before.
Doing this. I'm so excited.
I'm really excited about it too. So we always start out with a scripture to just launch each episode just with the word of the Lord. But today we get to just keep talking about God, which is just so fun. So we have a few fun things that we're going to go through today. We're talking about the topic of Christian fiction, and I feel like this is just such an interesting topic because Christian fiction, I feel like, kind of has a bad rap, like, in a lot of ways.
That's real.
And there's, like, honestly, a lot of it is not good. So there's a reason for it, but I also think that there's some stuff out there that is really good,
really
and
phenomenal,
deserves some love. So
yeah.
Our little gamer question for today's episode is, what prerequisites are you looking for when you go to look for a Christian fiction book?
Yeah, I think one depends on my mood.
Yeah,
but if like very typically Lexie fashion, I'm looking for a romance, it's gotta be something that like has sprinkles of faith or Jesus in it, but it isn't like super in your face. Like, the romance can't be like overly cheesy.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes it's just honestly not written well.
Yeah.
Like, it has to have like some basic writing standards, like well written, and you know, it can't be like overly like cheesy, unless I'm in the mood for it, but honestly I'm not usually. And then if I'm not in the mood for a romance, for me, like any other Christian fiction that's not a romance, it can't be something, again, like really just cheesy comes to mind when I think about like a not well done Christian fiction book. Like, for example, there's this one series I started. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically about, like, I think you recommended it for me. It's basically about the rapture. But it doesn't feel like this one guy was left after the rapture.
Just one guy?
I think so.
I don't think I recommended that. Maybe I
You
did.
recommended to me something like that. Or maybe we read it. We were at Half Price Books together.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Something like that. But like, that's cool.
Yeah,
a
true.
Cool concept. And it doesn't, I haven't read it all the way, but it's not cheesy. Like, it's not like preachy. Preachy.
Yes.
I don't, like, when I want to be preached to, I'm going to read the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. When I am looking at Christian fiction as well, like, I want something fun, but that is also going to, like, be in line with my faith. And so it's like, I'm not looking, like, exactly like you said, I'm not looking to be preached to, but maybe I am looking to learn something.
Yes.
In a way that, like, I wouldn't think to, like, or, like, gain a perspective or something like that.
Yes.
I think, like, also good writing is a must for me in any book. If you've been following along for any amount of time, you will know this about me already. I get very nitpicky about writing, and so sometimes I have a really hard time with Christian fiction books because a lot of the time the writing is just not there. It is not as good, I think, a lot, and I think this happens in films too, where the message that they want to come across is so important, and it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
But they don't always have the resources to be able to make the quality what it should be in order to actually create something that's worthy of consuming.
Of what they're trying to tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. So I think that similarly to Christian movies and shows, like Christian fiction books can tend to sacrifice quality for the message. And I think it's still really important that there's a standard of excellence with everything that we do. And I think that that's biblical. Like,
oh, for sure.
I truly believe, like, obviously God is perfect. And so he's not ever going to do anything that is less than perfect. If perfection is the standard, we all know we all fall short. However, I still think that there is a point where we should be putting in our all to everything that we're doing, but not just like personally, also like seeking the best resources. Like professionally speaking, seeking the best resources so we can have the best quality. Like Christian fiction covers, y'all.
Literally was on my mind. Like I was gonna be like, unserious note. Why?
They are never good. And
like,
it's like
so bad.
I know that we don't want to be surface level in material. However, the message is so important.
Yeah. And like
please put it in a pretty package too.
It's turn off.
Yes.
Honestly. Like y'all go to your local Half Price Books, even if you're not interested in reading a Christian fiction book, and look at the section and tell me if you'd pick up almost any of them.
Honestly, prettiest one I've ever seen, The Masterpiece.
100%.
And it's a pretty cover. That one is, I feel like that one's a pretty cover.
Yeah. Also,
do you have another one?
Gods of Dream. Oh gosh, what's it called?
Gods and Kings?
Yes.
The one,
It's on KU.
Yeah, one's not bad.
Not bad.
It's not bad.
Not Masterpiece.
It's simple, which is a positive.
Why did that scare me?
That was a little scary.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's simple, which I think is good because it's harder to mess up.
Yeah. But it's the vibe.
Yeah.
Of the whole story. And I love that. But like most Christian fiction romances have the worst covers I've ever saw.
So bad.
And like, y'all, we know, like everyone says don't judge a book by its cover, but like
we're all judging the books by their covers.
I'm not gonna pick up a book that looks ugly.
Exactly. We're all doing it. So like let's just
be honest.
Let's just be honest about it. Let's make them a little better.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not necessarily a prerequisite. I will buy, oh my gosh, I own the Francine
have some ugly
Voice in the Wind, like whatever that series is called. Those covers are
like it's what you said exactly. Like it's not a prerequisite. I will read a book with a Christian fiction book with an ugly cover, but it would just be like a more aesthetically pleasing. I also feel like it would encourage non-believers to read them more.
I agree.
Which
absolutely.
like I feel like has to be most authors' not goal, but like sub goal.
Yeah.
At least
It's
I would
something
think,
they're thinking about.
or should be if you're not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like as someone who's not a believer, but like I feel like a non-believer like would be like, what is this? I would never.
Yes. Yeah. If you've never seen the third book in the Francine Rivers like Voice in the Wind trilogy, it's so
Go
bad.
look.
Go
Go
look it
Google
up.
it.
It's
Great
bad.
author. Great author.
Great story. That whole trilogy, so good. Highly recommend. The covers, especially the third one, that specifically, there's two different ones. The one with the knight on.
This is our verbal petition to get the covers changed to a better cover.
We should like rebind them.
Oh yeah, I'm so down. I've been wanting to do a rebind.
There you go.
Do we do a craft night?
Wait, how cool would it be? Someone who has the ability and the time, please create an Etsy shop and rebind Christian fiction books with like gorgeous covers.
Okay, there is this girl I follow on TikTok, and I cannot remember her name right now. I'm so sorry, but she did like a Penguins classic of redeeming love.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that.
It was stunning.
I love that concept.
It's like $70, and I understand rebinding is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Personally, I couldn't.
Yeah.
But absolutely stunning.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, going into really our topic for today, we're going to be ranking 5 popular Christian fiction books or stories. I say that because one of them is a series and I'm just lumping it all together. So,
okay.
The 5 are the 5 are Left Behind, Chronicles of Narnia, Screwtape Letters, Redeeming Love, and The Shack. So if you don't know, Left Behind is like premise, the rapture happens and a ton of people get taken. There's one main character that is like left behind.
Girl, that's literally the book I was describing earlier.
Listen, you said there's only one person left. I was like, that's not true. There's like a ton of people left.
Okay, but I think that's what I was thinking of.
Is that what you were thinking
Yes.
of? Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I thought you were saying like, oh, everyone got taken and only one person was left. I was like, oh. Sounds like Left Behind, but that's not it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Maybe I just misunderstood the concept.
Maybe.
I'm like literally 2 pages in. I've barely read it.
So fair. There are like a whole group of like a ton of people are left because all the non-believers are left.
Right.
But the main character, it's like him and I think it's like him and his daughter, but then like his wife and one of his other kids like were raptured. Anyway, it's his story.
Oh, okay.
Chronicles of Narnia. If you don't know,
I think everyone knows. But
I'm sorry for you. It's C.S. Lewis. Go read it. Screwtape Letters, also C.S. Lewis. It's a really interesting like
so trippy
novella type thing
mm-hmm.
of this like demon, and it's basically like him and his like pursuit of this human trying to get the human to like not follow God.
It's like a demon's POV.
It's so interesting.
It's so bizarre.
So good.
Good bizarre.
And then Redeeming Love, of course, the classic Francine Rivers romance.
Yes.
And then of course The Shack being if you don't know what The Shack is, I'm not even gonna try. Go read the book.
Or watch the movie
or watch
if you're not a reader.
It's okay.
It's not bad. The movie's pretty good.
The movie is pretty good. Yeah. If you don't have the time to read it, the movie's good.
So heartbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, a lot.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Give me your number 5 slot.
5 being the worst?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying Left Behind, but only because I haven't read it.
I'm also saying Left Behind because it's good, but it doesn't hold a match to the rest of these books.
Okay.
4?
I'm going with the Chronicles of Narnia, but again, only because I've only seen the movie and I feel like it's not a fair judgment for the book.
So valid. Okay, don't hate me, but I'm putting Redeeming Love at number 4.
Okay.
I loved it. So good. I have to have the other 3 above.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah, the pacing was slow for me.
No, that's so real. I almost DNF'd Redeeming Love.
Yeah.
The prologue, if you know, you know.
And also, writing was so good, but I, like, C.S. Lewis, man. I can't. Anyway.
So valid.
Yeah. Number 3 for you?
Number 3 for me is gonna be the Screw Tape Letters, mostly because I don't think my headspace was great to be reading from a demon's POV.
Yeah.
So I would give it a try again, and it might be higher someday, but
no, that's real.
I wasn't strong enough in my faith to be reading that book.
That's so fair.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is The Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
Loved.
I need to read it so bad.
Growing up, loved them, and then reread a couple of them as an adult. Still love them.
Okay,
they're so good.
Yeah, I really want to read those.
Number 2,
high on my list. High on my list. I mean, sorry, 2 on my list is going to be Redeeming Love.
Yeah,
loved it. It was the prologue for me.
Yep, that's hard.
The prologue, and I like you said exactly the pacing in the book in general. It's a great story. Great story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so slow at some points. It's hard to get through.
Yeah, it really is. My number 2 is The Screw Tape Letters.
Okay.
That book like rocked my world. Yeah, changed my life.
I love that. So we have the same number 1.
Number 1 for both of us.
The Shack.
The Shack.
It's phenomenal. Like,
literally finished it while I was on an airplane. Cried my eyes out. My dad looked over and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I like held up what I was reading. He was like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay."
I read The Shack. If you don't know, last year I did a challenge. I read 31 books in 31 days, and I did The Shack during that. And I still felt the emotional feelings, and I didn't rush reading it because I read on a day off or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would love to like study it, like read it and study the Bible correspondingly.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. I need to do a reread. The last time I read it, I was like in high school, so it's time.
It was like, yeah, I don't have real words to describe The Shack. It has a very, very, very special place in my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, our very last segment of today's episode. We talked about some popular ones. What underrated Christian fiction book would you recommend?
I am going with The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I recently read it, and I know we've talked about it on the podcast in our last like little season. Oh my gosh, it is so good. There's something for everyone in that book.
Yeah.
There's a character everyone can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
There's seasons in life everyone can relate to. I would say even if you're not a fan of Christian fiction or you're not a Christian, you could read that book and get something out of it.
Definitely.
Not even like Christian based.
No, yeah.
Phenomenal read. Phenomenal.
So
and
good.
the pacing's so much better than Redeeming Love.
Yes.
So if you've read
100%.
something by Francine Rivers and you didn't love it, I would highly encourage
give it a try. For sure.
Mm-hmm. What you got?
Mine is Tidewater Inn by Colleen Coble. It is the first book in a series, which I believe is of interconnected standalones, called Hope Beach is the name of that series. And I am going to pull up the Goodreads for it because I don't want to like butcher what the book was actually about, because I read a couple that were similar around the same time. So it is a mystery of sorts. There's also like a romance in it, but primarily it's focused around the mystery, and it's set in the Outer Banks, which is fun. So unique. And the main character, she like goes to this place called Hope Beach in the Outer Banks, where she goes to this inn, and it's basically like it needs some help. And it gives like Hallmark woman comes from the big city to a small town
When
vibes,
I love the Hallmark vibe.
but with also like
A
a mystery that goes on as well. There's like, I think the inn is willed to her, by the way.
Oh,
So
okay.
she like comes into ownership of the inn. But then there's like some drama with some family that was actually living there, where they're like, this is our birthright, whatever. So there's some of that, and then there's also the mystery part is a kidnapping.
Oh.
So it's very interesting because it's like small town mystery, but also like a little bit of romance, also a little Hallmarky, like big city girl goes to a small town.
I love.
Yeah, and so she is like trying to figure out this like kidnapping situation, but also like help restore the inn. And then of course there's this guy.
Always a guy.
Always a guy. It was a good read.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it was good.
It sounds like it's something on my alley.
I definitely enjoyed it. There's another one that was interesting. It was like Off the Cliffs of Foxgrove Manor, I believe is the name.
Okay.
Another like mystery romance.
Interesting. I kind of love that.
Yeah.
All
Definitely
right.
would recommend it. Colleen Coble has a lot of like Christian fiction. That one, like, yes, it was Christian fiction, but it did not feel like preachy or like anything like that.
Love that.
And then the Off the Cliffs of Foxgrove Manor or whatever, that other one is he is like a strong Christian and she is like trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. But he's also not preachy.
Good. Love that.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. I love that in a book.
Yeah. It's like very humble, like very quiet, but also like very secure and strong in like
I love
his
that.
values. Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Good rec.
Yeah. Give it a shot. If you haven't read anything by Colleen Coble. I don't think that the Foxglove Manor or whatever is by her. But if you look up Colleen Coble, you'll probably find that one because that's how I found that one. Was like looking for recs based on that author.
That's funny.
Yeah. I think that's it. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for today's episode of the Go Read Sis podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like, give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating. Go over to Instagram, say hey, follow us. Threads, TikTok, all the things. We love you. We're so happy you're here. And we'll see you next Tuesday for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.